Good morning, everybody, or afternoon. Who knows? I don't know what time it is where you're watching this. So, we're going to continue from where we left off. So, where last we left, our intrepid heroes from American history, Abraham Lincoln, had just won the 1860 election. The Republican Party, one of the few times that a third party, because the Republican Party was a brand new third party, and they won the presidential election. The problem is, at least from the Southern perspective, is that they won this election without a single Southern state. So essentially, every Southern state believed that there was a president who they did not who wasn't going to represent them and their interests being preserving their way of life, and just so happened that their way of life included slavery. So, Abraham Lincoln, the winner, Republican Party Abraham Lincoln. So then December, so the election happens in November. Still happens in November. So presidential election happens in November. South Carolina is the first state to secede from the Union in December of 1860. They're the first state to vote to secede. Then, not long after that, a bunch of other states also vote to secede from the Union. Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Texas, all of those states immediately vote to secede, and then a bunch of other states, Tennessee, Arkansas, North Carolina, Virginia, they're kind of waiting to see what happens. But I mean, just with those states voting to secede, the power of the federal government is just falling apart. President Buchanan says, you have no right to secede, but he couldn't do anything. Or at least he said he couldn't do anything. Whether or not he could have, it's up for debate. But when Buchanan became the president, there were 32 states in the Union. When he left, there were 25. So the thing is, though, when all of these states voted to secede, they were basically their own independent little countries. But then they realized that if they were going to stand up to the United States, that they needed to come together to form a confederation, like a loose alliance. If you remember the Articles of Confederation, like we tried that form of government and it didn't work for the United States. But the Southern states, they're going to give it a go. So they formed the Confederate States of America, and their first elected president is Jefferson Davis. So Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas joined South Carolina, voted to secede. They formed the first Confederate states. And later on, other states will vote to join them. So moving right along. So these dark red states down here at the bottom, love a good map. Those are the initial states to secede. These states, the sort of vivid, bright red states, they vote to secede much later. But they still vote to join the Confederacy. Now, these yellow states, so we got Maryland, Delaware, Kentucky, and Missouri. Those are what we call the border states right here, border states. And even though slavery was permitted in those areas voted to stay with the Union, which is very important. It also changed the way the Union acted, the way the Union thought whenever they were, hashing out strategy and policy. And then also in 1861, almost too late, but Kansas votes to join the Union as a free state. So this is where the scene is set for the opening shots of what is to be the Civil War. So tune in next time.